President Bola Tinubu has declared a state of emergency in Rivers State following the lingering political crisis in the state. President Tinubu made the proclamation during a nationwide broadcast on Tuesday evening, suspending Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy Ngozi Odu, and all members of the House of Assembly for 6 months. The president noted that the crisis was hindering democracy governance from thriving in the state. The president also nominated Vice Admiral Ibogete Bass, retired as administrator, to take charge of the affairs of the state for 6 months. Now, joining us in the studio is a TV host and columnist Sam Omatseye. We also have via Zoom PR consultant and public affairs analyst Ambrose Igboke. First of all, let me say welcome. Welcome you. I mean, welcome.
It's good to see you. It's good to see you, Sam.
It's like you are our own. You are part of the house. So it's nice to have you here, sir.
That's right.
Thank you.
All right, and the same way, let's say a big welcome to Mr. Igboke out there. But first, let's start with you, Mr. Omatseye. Please explain to us emergency rule and why it is necessary.
Emergency rule, as it is conceived, is intended to avert crisis that has become an existential threat to the state. So when a president decides to slam an emergency rule, it is because there's no other step to take, and that they have exhausted the parameters and the avenues for peace in case of human-generated emergencies. They also have nature-generated emergencies like floods, natural disasters, fire, things like that. Of course, but what we have now is a human-generated state of emergency. So it is like the last-ditch effort to avert breakdown of law and order and even an existential threat to the state.
All right, Tim, let's go to Dr. Ambrose Igboke for his opening salvo, for this conversation. So we've been monitoring what has been going on in Rivers State, starting from last year with the face-off between a suspended Governor Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, and all of the things that happened to the State House of Assembly, etc. Do you think it was very expedient for the president to have declared the state of emergency as we witnessed yesterday?
Well, there are two sides to the coin. Some feel that it is too early, that the president has not really exhausted all platforms for mediation and negotiation. Some feel that it is imminent because there have been a breakdown of order has started in terms of the blowing up of oil pipelines that took place within 24 hours. And that this was just a strategy to ensure that there's no further breakdown of law and order. But state of emergency tactically is not actually to prevent breakdown. It's when the things have already broken down, if all have failed. For example, there have been 5 states of emergencies proclaimed in Nigeria since independence in 1960. And where we see them, in the one that happened in the Western region in 1962, it was politically motivated, just as Sam said, it's a human factor. And it was all politics when the NPC was trying to take hold and dismantle the action group. That led to serious consequences for Nigeria that even led to the coup and the counter-coup and then the civil war. Then when we came to the Fourth Republic, Second Republic, nothing happened. Third Republic, nothing happened in terms of state of emergency. But Fourth Republic, this is the 4th state of emergency. When we look at them, the first one, it was 2004 in the Fourth Republic. There was a war, serious war between, the Sharia issue that stood up in Plateau states. When we look at the second one that happened in 2006, we found out that it was a political thing. It was not an issue of breakdown of law and order, although there were, signs of breaking down of law of order, in sense of impeachment, no impeachment of the governor there, and, things were beginning to happen. So in 2013, when it happened again, it was because of the Boko Haram issues and the breakdown of law there in the 3 states of Adamawa, Yobe, and I think the third one I can't remember.
Adamawa, Yobe,
so,
and Borno State.
Adamawa, Yobe, and Borno. Those are the 3 states. So you could see that it was a war situation, and state of emergencies were declared in a war situation. But again, curiously, the governors were not removed in those 3 states where it was actually a war situation. While the one of Plateau and Ekiti, the governors were removed, they were suspended. And curiously, because I will assume that Obasanjo was a former military leader, he brought his colleagues from the military to be sole administrator in the time of Plateau, and also sole administrator in the one of Ekiti. Coming down now, what we have in Plateau State is a case of a godfather and a godson who are trying to set the state on fire. There are blames on both sides. We have a governor who went to
all right, since we
remove the roof of a national just because
we obviously are having glitches there. So, Dr. Omatseye, let's look at this particular decision to declare a state of emergency in a river state. Is it timely? Is it going to be as effective as everyone would think it should be?
Well, I think that the situation was careening out of control, and everybody knows that. The president has even said that there was no governor. He was the one that even said it was the Supreme Court that there was no government, because for you to have a government, you must have the 3 arms of government operating at the same time.
Yes.
What you had was a case of what the Bible calls the abomination that maketh desolate.
Desolate.
That, what you had in the state was that you had a throne that was stained, where it was as if they're making sacrifices for themselves rather than for the state. Right? The Bible says that when you shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. He that readeth, let him understand. And ye that be in Judea, flee into the mountains. So it was a place in which the throne itself had become desecrated.
Yes.
That was what was happening in Rivers State.
Sorry.
And what you had, there are so many things that happened. There was the House of Assembly, and then there was the executive. The executive did not relate to the House of Assembly. House of Assembly did not relate to the executive. You had a governor who was accused of breaking down the House of Assembly, bumping it to inexistence. You had him even at one time. It became kind of a comic show where he was holding a rally. The governor holding a rally in the government house over a House of Assembly. Then the House of Assembly was, to all intents and purposes, non-existent because they had no place to hold anything. They were deprived of their capacity to operate as a legislature. Then they created his own legislature. It is despotic. Now, the problem I have with so many people was that, so many people who were following this issue was that they saw the impunity of Fubara, and they still felt that, well, it is better for me to support a man who breaks the law than to support a man I don't like. That was Wike. Wike was in the shadows. He was playing his own role. But it was not an elected officer of state. As an elected officer of state, you do what you're supposed to do as an elected officer of state. You don't violate it.
Some will argue that something triggered Fubara to behave as such.
What was that?
You mentioned his name?
Yes, what did he do?
Maybe
they
you
should
should
what he
answer that.
did, and they should try to explain how he justified creating 3 men as lawmakers, as against the law. To go and make a situation where you have the budget passed by 3 men. It's a mockery. Or the state executive passed by 3 men. It's a mockery. He didn't have the capacity to talk across the aisle. No, the whole issue itself is political.
Yes.
So when you look at it is political. And if you don't have the political savvy to operate in a democracy, you have no place there.
Exactly.
So if you look at it, some people try to cut Fubara, from suspended Governor Fubara, some slack, looking at the fact that he had said that he would respect the Constitution, he would respect the Supreme Court's judgments regarding his sacking of local government chairmen, also his commissioners representing the budget, which he tried to do according to him, but it was met with some resistance by the State House of Assembly without welcoming him. What do you say to that?
Well, he said he wrote a letter to the State House of Assembly. Did the State House of Assembly write him back to say, okay, this is the time we are coming? You don't tell me, I'm coming to see you tomorrow, and I've not told me whether you are available, you don't have anything to do. Then I just come and say, okay, I have come, and then I didn't allow you in, or my gate man did not allow you in, and then you say that, oh, it is me that I'm looking for trouble because I told you I was coming. That's why I say there is a level of maturity. He himself was talking about the jungle has matured. There is a level of maturity you need in political give and take. You have to smooth. You have to follow the process of interacting across the aisle and saying, I am here for peace. You talk on everything in politics. You have the ceremony and you have the real work. The real work is done in the shadows, where you meet and talk and resolve your differences, and then in the outside, you see the process take its place. That is how politics is work. So he was in a sense, as I saw it, trying to create what they call showboating. Was trying to show, look, I've come, look at this people, they blocked me. But did you really make a concrete arrangement to come and meet this people?
We understand that our other guest is on Zoom, is back on Zoom. Dr. Agbambu, you were driving home your points, you're driving at the points when you took us historically into what transpired, especially vis-a-vis the declaration of state of emergency. You were heading somewhere. Could you quickly land on that thought?
Repeat yourself. I didn't hear you quite clearly.
Yeah, I said you were giving us a historical narrative of how state of emergency had been declared in comparison to the recently declared state of emergency by the incumbent president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You were driving at the points. Could you land on that thought? Yes, I said that the first state of emergency since our independence was in 1962. When because Western Regional Parliament, where the ruling party NPC was trying to do some damage to Action Group, which is the AG, and that singular act of declaring state of emergency in the Western region spiraled into the crisis of the Western region, which culminated to Operation Wait here. The political historians will remember Dr. Agbambu, because of our time,
which was the excuse.
Sorry, Dr. Agbambu, sorry to butt in your line of thought. Because of our time, could you, I guess you were trying to make some comparison. Could you quickly go to that because of our time?
Well, the comparison is that there were war already. For example, the Plateau own and the Adamawa own and Borno own. There was war that was happening then, crisis. That was why it was declared. But what that one that happened in Ekiti was politically motivated, just like the one of Rivers State. And therefore, when you check the Ekiti own and you check the Rivers own, there are political undertones caused by politicians themselves, while the other ones were caused by wars and crises. The one in Plateau and as well as the one in Adamawa. Even the ones in Adamawa, Yobe and Borno that were war situations, the governors were not removed. The instrumentalities of democracy were left there, even though it's a war situation. But when you check the one of the one of Plateau, the governor was removed, and the one of Ekiti. But one thing is certain: why are we bringing back military people to become sole administrators when we declare state of emergency? Is it that we have no civilians that are capable of running the institutions till 6 months duration? So people have queried why we have to bring ex-military administrators to be sole administrators. That is a dangerous precedent that should not be allowed to continue.
Do you agree with that?
He's no longer a military man. He's an he's a retired military man. He's an ambassador. So he has a right. He has a right, like any other civilian, to operate as operate in any capacity. After all, we elected 2 ex-military people as president. Yeah. So what are we talking about? I mean, it's a civilian. It's a Nigerian citizen. Yeah. The problem is he competent to handle the responsibility? It's almost like a discrimination against a set of people if you say that a military man, an ex-military man, cannot be appointed in that capacity.
What about the arguments that people are bringing up that, yes, you could declare a state of emergency and leave the governor to stay? In this particular case, do you think that would have been a wise decision?
Look, I think I had this, I watched some people make analysis yesterday on TV and in the social media saying that should have left the political structures because that was what happened in Borno. I remember at that time when the thing was going on in Borno, I was one of those who said, leave the political structures and so on. Because the problem in Borno at that time was not caused by politics, it was to protect political structure. That was the reason for the state of emergency. The political structure, the political players were not fighting each other. Yeah. So it was against a military, a bandit group or an insurgent group against our democracy. So it was to maintain law and order in that respect, to protect the political institutions and political players. So the governor was not problematic, was not fighting anybody. It was actually at war to survive and to make sure the state did not crumble under the weight of those militants. In this case of Rivers State, the problem are the political actors. Some people forgot that even the governor said a few weeks ago, or less than 2 weeks ago, when he addressed the group, and he told the youths, he said, don't be perturbed. He said, very soon you will get instruction. And so what happened yesterday was that, what happened in the state of emergency was this. The House of Assembly sent a notice about misconduct to the governor. Governor said, I didn't receive. The next day, there was pipeline explosion. Yeah. As the people say, a witch cried last night and a child died this morning. Who does not know that there's a connection between the witch crying last night and the child dying this morning? The issue of pipeline restoration and breakdown of law and order has been in the so people should understand that they should not make false equivalences in this matter. The problem were the political forces. And it is when they have, ironically and tragically, it is when they have political offices that they can now fund violence. So when the boys are not there to be given the resources, they are not using the resources of state anymore. When the people say, we are ready, and the person says, no, I'm not ready, then you will not have trouble.
Yeah, right. So Dr. Ambrose Igboke, so looking at going forward, what do you think we are likely to see? Because others were saying that according to the section, it was supposed to be the governor that should request for the state of emergency to be declared. But then after 2 explosions rocked the pipelines, and we saw what happened during the Buhari administration with 400,000 barrels per day that we could not, that's a shortfall of 2.5 million we were generating at that time. Do you think there is likely going to be constitutional crisis going forward? And how do you expect the Vice Admiral to ensure stability in Rivers State going forward very quickly?
Well, going forward, I think it is time to now come to the table to negotiate. I think also the governor may have also the constitutional right to challenge the state of emergency. And just one of the options is that the governor should be the person to invite. Just one of the options under Section 305. It doesn't mean that in no situation the governor will invite the president to declare state of emergency. Just one of the options. I think going forward now, the actors and stakeholders in Rivers State should now sit down and begin to see how they could, come to terms with some agreements between the two warring factions. At this time, it may also need to appoint maybe professional mediators to come forward. Since this crisis started almost 2 years ago, it seems the political actors, maybe the godfathers of politics or stakeholders, have not been able to resolve it. Even within the PDP, within the elder statesmen in Rivers State, have not been resolved. So probably it's time to appoint professional mediators to see how they can come. Then the president should also ramp up his own effort to bring the warring parties together, because I don't think, and I'm convinced that the presidents have not done enough. It should intensify efforts. I think the one I know is just like maybe twice or so. This is the time to bring them to table, because now both of them have been disarmed somehow, because the Fubara team was fighting impeachment. The Wike team was actually threatening impeachment. But now everybody is down and out for 6 months. So it is time to do some introspection. It's time to look for the way forward. It's time also for the Rivers people to look at it. And it's not time to start gloating. It's not also time to start rebelling. It's not time to put the state on fire, as some people have said. For the Rivers people, there is a lost situation for them, and they should use these 6 months to do some kind of soul searching to see if these issues can be brought under control, so that by the expiration of the 6 months, the people of Rivers can come together, the governments can work together to give the critical dividends of democracy to the people of Rivers State for the prosperity of the state. Because Rivers State is not just like any other state. It's so key to our economic stability in Nigeria. And anything done to destabilize that state will eventually destabilize the region and will suffer economically. So we must put all hands on deck to ensure that after these 6 months, everything will run smoothly for the benefits of River people and for the benefits of Nigerians.
And Sam, what Dr. Igboke says is the weight on the shoulders of Iboete Ibas. Let's look at him. Let's analyze him and see, is he competent enough to handle the kind of responsibility that has been given to him?
Well, his responsibility is just to maintain law and order and run government. Normally, the real problem is not with the sole administrator. If you ask me, the real problem is with the political actors. The political actors. He said the president has not done enough. Doesn't know how much the president has done. They signed a truce. They were elders. They brought them to the table. They signed a truce. And many times, not several times, many times, because there's a difference between several and many.
Yeah, that's right.
Many times, the president met with them, both Wike and Fubara. It's not every time the president met with them that the thing was put on public site.
Yeah.
You know, he met with them, warned, cajoled, advised. But when there's a situation in which the falcon does not hear the falconer, what will happen? The gun will be shot,
Yes.
and they'll come down.
So
that's what happened. Right. It was a case not only of stand off, but also of stand still.
Yeah.
So we had it was almost as if they were regaling in the paralysis of the state. They were like the blackbirds of John Webster. Also said the blackbirds as the bird flew higher into the storm, as the storm got more fiery, the better the bird flies, and the more happy the bird is, and the more robust the bird looks, and the higher and the more powerful the bird is in the air.
Interesting parable. but then very quickly, I just wanted to spare a thought on those who are saying that, listen, is it not that the president is kind of setting the dangerous precedents, especially maybe quite lopsided decision that he had taken? Because we just had crisis in Lagos State, in Lagos State House of Assembly, vis-a-vis all of the things that we hear. So why, they were asking, they're not querying, why didn't he declare state of emergency then? Why are we having it in River State?
Well, in the case of River State, it's different from that of Lagos. Lagos, they got elders, and they listened to elders, and the matter was resolved. You had Segun Oshoba, you had Pa Akinyelure, you had Pa Bisi Akonde, called them together, and they sat together, and they resolved the matter. So there was no need to do any further crisis.
And afterwards, they also went to the president.
And after they went to the president, everybody in the party, there was no situation of which one person was threatening the other, going to throw that at you. There's no comparison. But in the case of Rivers, they had elders who had already taken sides, called Pandev. Pandev was under this man who just died, Ike Clark. Ike Clark, in public, was on the side of Fubara. Odili, former Rivers State governor, who was on the side of Wike when Wike was in president, who Wike was the best thing after this sliced bread when he was president, when he was governor. Now moved to Fubara and said it was the best ever, even better than sliced bread. So these were elders who lacked respectability and who had immersed themselves in partiality. So they didn't have the moral gumption, the charisma, and the presence, and even the moral suasion to engage in trying to bring peace together. So there's no comparison between the two at all. There's no need to even talk about that. Another point about it is the idea of in the Lagos situation, it's about political structure. It's about political structure, in which means when you obey, when you are first a party man before you're an elected officer.
Yes.
And so when you're making decisions, remember your party. Remember that was the problem between Akintola and Awolowo. Awolowo said, if you are going to make a decision as the premier of Western State,
yes,
at least you should run the idea through the party. And don't act as though you just erupted from the sky. No, you didn't. You are part of a political structure. So that was what created the problem in Lagos. I said, so look, you guys did not follow the party structure. There are elders and there are people you're supposed to consult before you take action. In the case of Rivers, there was until they were all part of the same party, including Fubara and the lawmakers were together. And then Fubara got on the throne and he turned it into an abomination that make it desolate.
All right, this has been quite a very interesting conversation. I want to say a big thank you to Sam Omatseye, TV host, and a columnist.
Yes, and some people have said before we close, just a good statement, people have said that the president does not have the right, that the constitution does not tell him to dissolve political structures. Yeah. The constitution is open, it's blank on how you should operate state of emergency. It didn't say you should do it, and it didn't say you should not do it. So where there's no law, there's no transgression.
So it's still to hold this question. What you do?
It's not what I said. So yes, what you do. That's the nature of emergency.
Right.
All right. That it trusts because you are elected, you have been trusted with the powers of decency and also of ruthlessness.
Absolutely.
In case just to keep things together.
All right. Thank you very much for your insight. I want to thank Dr. Ambrose Igboke, a PR consultant, public affairs analyst, who joined us via Zoom. Your contributions were very valid and very correct, and thank you very much for